Couple of terrestrial men fly to the planet where nearly 1,000 years ago, colonialists in hope to find their rescue for all mankind went. I am Morfox, and this short description of the movie The Spaceship of the Earth flies to the far-out planet of an Antar pilots Jake and Adam try to contact base, but there's no answer. Probably colonists died long ago. They're past 900 years since their expedition founded space base and the constant settlement in the most remote corner of the galaxy. Before reporting the real reason of their arrival, it is quite good to natives to look at first how on the planet the situation at atmospheric entry is the ship runs away and is wrecked. Though Adam and Jake remain are safe, guys get out and having surveyed fragments of the ship, understand them. The excursion obviously approached the final to Adam. It is necessary to provide medical care to the colleague who at crash landing received injury of a shoulder. When Jake suddenly hears bark of a dog, Adam laughs. It is obvious effect of the medicine, but immediately itself hears familiar sounds. Having gone to investigation, Adam finds the fellow a very wild view with a dog on hands. The boy complains that they are pursued by Zmigalova and takes to the heels. Adam hurries afterwards while the child is surrounded by women. In an armour are enough and carry away in a few minutes on this place. Adam finds a metal knife and immediately the strong earthquake which pretty fast comes to an end begins. Adam calls Jake, asking to make the geoscan a rovenia, then goes further and soon see before themselves the majestic building, having entered in which he finds in a great number of women. Some are dressed black clothes and carry out obviously ritual movements, and look too as soldiers in an armour come forward the woman who keeps as the leader. But immediately before it, there is a priestess to dachshunds who urges Mother a snake to receive their bloody sacrifices, and at the next moment, from under the temple, the head of a huge snake is swept. The priestess orders to give the victim and forward bring the old fellow, having seen whom one of guards shouts for horror. Because her brother Will of a pigeon rushes on protection of the fellow, and so far it fights, will remain priestesses of a dragon is enough, and swallows of it the competitor. So itself orders to seize disobedient persons, but the queen stands up, to confusion. Under the law, nobody can kill the woman, and here the snake made sacrilege. Adam, who is attentively watching a skirmish of two beauties, suddenly receives a call from Jake, having noticed the stranger of war. To dachshunds try to catch it while the sum of Rue orders to bring to it the stranger after his capture. Adam and Will at full speed run to the place of landing. They are made up by wars, and Adam should shoot back from the blaster. While Jake and Will hide in the ship, Adam is ready to follow them when one of warriors wounds him the arrow. He manages to get inside when wars of the queen outside appear. Reminds confusion who here the power, and declares people of Earth the captives to soldiers. Dachshunds should leave. The queen, having learned about earlier, helps Adam applying local drugs. Then orders to deliver arrived in her house and to wash as she intends to interrogate Adam personally of a provill forget, and the fellow without results looks for the dog when he comes for his shouts a pigeon. The sister is angry with the fidget. Today he could die, but the boy just very much missed it. And the disobedient dog ran away from the house. The girl reminds that now she can protect it. If not the queen, a dachshund would feed his snake. Meanwhile, Adam recovers in the dwelling of the queen, where immediately Bring and Jake men discuss the situation of Antarctic, speak their language, and it means that they either descendants of colonists or the tribe which closely contacted to them. But why only women? Will's Crom. Certainly Adam suggests that the infected gene reached and here, but Jake does not agree. Then they would die out long ago. Besides, he after all managed to make measurements and found out that there are irreversible tectonic changes. So it was necessary to live Ankara 23 months. Men carry out tests for infection, but there are no signs of a disease. Here they notice spying upon them. Will and Adam suggests to check him too. Again begins to shake the planet, but the fellow explains all with movements of the sacred earth. It fearlessly holds up a hand under the scanner, and Adam with pleasure notes that Will is absolutely healthy. Appeared a pigeon is indignant, but having learned that nobody is going to do to her brother harm, declares that the queen after a bathtub wants to interrogate Adam. The man is conducted at rest of the queen. Having finished a ritual, the sum begins with Togo that examines the earthling's blaster. He warns about care, but the queen nevertheless shoots, frightening by people around, then begins to ask questions of that from where and why they arrived. The man shows it the hologram of the planet, tells about the Earth and about the first colonists. 40 years in a row, the space base Antara sent reports to the nearest colony on Sirius. And then suddenly communication was interrupted. Then there were continuous wars, and was to nobody affairs to Far Colony for 9 centuries, nobody, and never tried to learn what here occurred, so they arrived to help their perishing planet. It becomes clear that the Queen is perfectly informed on earthquakes, and she has very advanced engineers, and the ceremony of a sacrifice is an idea of the priestess to dachshunds, which thus supports the government. The fact is that on the planet of Antara of the Queen are not born. It is chosen their time. The people chose it. They sow a dignity which considered the Queen's throne. The ass came from a sort in which there were already 3 queens throughout 3 centuries. Then so itself proclaimed herself the living goddess, apart the center of Aryans, so was frightened of constant earthquakes that addressed religion instead of science, and since then a taxon use believers in fight with confusion. Adam suggests to evacuate inhabitants. In the universe there is a set of wonderful planets, but with will die does not understand how they will be able to make it. If their ship is broken as all dreams of men, now on the planet govern women, and men are used only for hard work of oil and gas production, laying of tunnels, but also reproduction. The Queen conducts the earthling on the mine where work the man of an Antar because they are necessary only as rough, brainless force. Adam is indignant with her statements and grabs the Queen hand of her telochronatal knits a rush on the offender, but to confusion stops them on their stories very long time ago the man drew upon them. Light of death, and since then they live. Here, so Adam does not understand how it is possible to live without love, and kisses rue sum that seas come to minds. Taxon the Queen admits that she saved Adam as she needs his knowledge. The earthling calls their system slavery and receives for it slap in the face. The dispersed Queen begins to beat the man and orders to lock him and Jake Taxon, become the witness of this conversation, orders to the soldiers to kill protection, not to bring to it the newcomer of war. To dachshunds execute the order and a pigeon perishes. Despite Will's prevention before death, she asks the brother to tell the Queen about what occurred while the earthling is taken away by wars. The taxon the man is brought to the priestess, who tries to talk over it in all ways available to it, including in Tim. Adam possesses powerful weapon at the request of Adam. The goddess tells it a legend, Death Gleam. Once people lived in the world in content, but angered God's attempt of the man to impose the opinion. From heaven fire without flame flew, and the men standing nearby burned down. Therefore women began to govern. So the dignity kisses Adam, but he suddenly sees something behind a curtain and finds a relic the left, days long ago. The priestess the monitor so calls it. But near it the whole nest of snakes. Adam kills a couple, and despite anger, to dachshunds activates the monitor. The woman considers the events magic and demands to give her to hands of the goddess. When Adam refuses, the woman snatches out a knife, but Adam holds her. The priestess calls guards, but instead of her soldiers comes the sum of Ru and its people. The Queen reminds the law of the woman cannot kill women, so the dignity derides its intention to punish her, for as Otgrabat from the Queen. While the priestess lies in an Otklyuchka, people of earth and with will die. Think how to get out of the palace. Wars attacks and protect all tunnels conducting to the old city, where most likely there is Antara Civilization Solution Group sets off. Tells confusion that its people ran from there once. Also shows an amulet which Jake recognizes as for a lowering key of the ancient ship. She hopes that men will depart and everything will go still. But here to confusion sees a taxon ahead of soldiers and the group is forced to hide. Will remembers that there is one more exit and keeps the command there. But to get out to a surface, it is necessary to pass through prison where contains in awful conditions men. Having seen all this, the Earth do not start releasing unfortunate though the sum threatens them with weapon. Here they are found by group of soldiers. Oxon begins firefight, during which Adam Jake is lifted by lattices. The Queen is forced to give to Adam his blaster, and it clears away. To confusion lets out men and all run on a surface. So the dignity brings together the remained soldiers and hurries in a pursuit. At this time admits to confusion that is present at birth of each child, and this moment solves who will live and who to exist. She considers it unfair, but nevertheless it was their way. Adam tells that Jake very painfully treats this question because his parents were slaves, and it is one of the shameful moments of history of the earth. Meanwhile, So itself understands that fugitives go towards fire, and despite the century, Ban conducts the people there. Meanwhile, the Queen admits to Will that she knew his sister since the childhood and admired her force and fidelity. At this moment, the earthquake begins. People fall, and the confusion should recognize correctness of people of Earth. The planet perishes. Soon, people find a skeleton of the man whom the Queen calls the Keeper of a Zone. Jake measures radiation level and confirms that the death of the person occurred because of atomic explosion, but now the background is normal, and it means that the ship can remain.